I recorded like 11 minutes and my eyes were closed. So I didn't realize that the screen had went dark and it stopped recording. So, welcome to episode 23 of Play With Your Dick, Not Me. I am your host, Sadie, aka Capricorn Clark. I am not sure why I'm recording right now, to be honest, because fuck. I am struggling today. I am really struggling. I have been struggling immensely the past 2 years. But I have my days that are harder than others. Harder than others. And I just still grieving. Still struggling. I don't know how much I'm ready to start sharing. I know I've kind of hinted at stuff every episode almost, but I don't think I'm fully ready to talk about the source of my grief fully yet, because a lot of people aren't going to understand, and they're going to mislabel it, and they're not going to understand it. Especially if you're somebody that doesn't understand friendships between opposite sexes. I know a lot of people like that. And in my experience, if you've grown up with the opposite sex siblings, then you understand it. But if you're an only child or you grew up with only same-sex siblings, you don't quite get it. That's not always the case, but that's in my experience. Like, I have a lot of guy friends. I've always had guy friends. I clicked with guys growing up better than I did with girls. It took years for me to cultivate meaningful friendships with girls. Like, we just didn't understand each other. And I didn't like the cattiness and the rudeness and the talking behind your back. And I'm not saying that I never engaged in that kind of behavior. When you're a kid, you're just trying to fit in. But it never sat well with my soul. It never sat well with my soul. And guys were just always easier. No drama. Like, no drama. Ever. Like, you know, like, occasionally I had guy friends that would come over every single fucking day, and you kind of get frustrated and irritated and on each other's nerves because they're almost like your brother because you see them all the fucking time. But that was like the extent. I never, like, I hate you, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore. Like, never went through that kind of catty drama bullshit being friends with boys. Like, guys have always been zero drama. Like, I've always had an easier time. I have meaningful friendships with women now, but it took years. I have just always vibed better with guys. It's always been me. But I would get annoyed when I would have particular guy friends that people would regularly see me with, and then they would try to ship us. Like, oh, you guys would be so cute together. And it's just like, me and my friend would just fucking look at each other and be like, what the fuck? Like, why can't we just be friends? Like, why do you have to ship us together? Why do you, like, what are you doing? And that shit always irritated me. Like, my best friend Spencer, like, he will come and meet me for lunch at my work, or I'll leave and go out for lunch with him. But if he comes to my office, he's there all day. We're just chopping it up. He's telling me about this girl he's into, or that girl and that girl. It's usually a couple girls. And, we're just talking about life and are just shooting the shit. And I would have people that I worked with or whatever. It got to the point where I just started telling people Spencer was my brother, because I didn't really feel like getting the questions and the accusing eyes and all that bullshit if I said, oh, this is my best friend. Because in the past, when he would come pick me up for lunch and we'd go get like pho or whatever, I'd come back to the office and my coworkers would be like, oh, he likes you. And I'd be like, no, the fuck he doesn't. Like, no, the fuck he doesn't. I'm not even his type. And even if I was, that is like my brother. I've known him for a gazillion years. Like, but that shit used to irritate the fuck out of me. Like, just because you see a guy and a girl and they have good chemistry and they're laughing and kicking it and it's very natural, that does not mean they want to fuck. That is not, no. Like, women and men can just be friends. They can just be platonic ass friends. And that's just always been something that has been natural for me my entire life, just to be friends with guys, and I really think that you don't even think twice about it when you're a girl and you grow up with brothers, or you're a boy and you grow up with sisters. Like, it's just natural. Like, same with my husband. Like, Tiger has always had female friends, and it's just, I think it has to do with growing up with opposite sex siblings in your household. Like, it's just a natural thing. Like, Tiger's always had female friends that were just female friends. I've always had guy friends that were just guy friends. But I've come to find in my experience, people that are only child, or they've only ever had siblings of the same sex, they just don't quite get it. They don't quite, it doesn't make sense to them in their brain how opposite sex can just be fucking friends. That's it. Like, there are no romantic feelings there whatsoever, and there never will be. You know what I'm saying? Like, do friends in some situations become lovers? Yeah. But I don't think it's the way people think. I think that there was always a little something between those two people. There was always just a little something. Like, they were being friends, but deep down, they had, you know what I'm saying? But when they're actually just friends, just fucking friends, and that's it, and it's never going to be anything different, like, so yeah, so I would get so fucking annoyed with people saying dumb ass off the wall shit every time Spencer would come hang out with me at work for lunch, that I just started introducing him to people. This is my brother, because I didn't need people to be like, oh, what's going on here? Or, I'm gonna go tell your husband. You know what I'm saying? Go tell my husband. My husband knows who the fuck Spencer is. We're all friends. We all grew up together. Like, what the fuck? Tiger has known Spencer longer than me, and it's the same thing. Like, anytime Spencer has dated a female, he introduces them to me, and they get to know me very well. Like, this is his best friend. Like, and I'm not even his only female friend. I don't even know how I got on this topic. How did I get here? I don't know. I was segueing into something, but I've just always bonded and connected better with guys. Like, it's always been the most natural types of bonds for me personally. So but like I said, the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, I started to cultivate meaningful relationships with women. But it took like over half my life that I've lived, or whatever. But I just I don't really want to get into it, but I have basically, in a nutshell, one of my favorite people turned into the biggest lesson of my life. He was one of my very best friends, and I've just have been grieving his absence for the past 2 years. And this has been the most sad, the most miserable, the most pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. And it's just it has been so painful that I now have this belief that grieving somebody that is still alive is absolutely 1,000 times more painful than grieving somebody who has moved on, like, from this world, like, deceased, died. And this is why I feel this way. Hear me out. Well, because I have lost people to death. And this pain of grieving somebody that is still alive, way worse. So, okay. When you are grieving somebody that has died, there is not a place you can go on this entire planet and find them. Nowhere on God's green earth can you go and find them. You can go to every corner of the planet and you will not find them. they are gone. And your brain just eventually accepts it. You still may get sad on anniversaries of their death or their birthday, but you know that nowhere on the planet can you go and run into them. But when you are grieving somebody that is still alive, and you live in the same fucking town, so occasionally you have to run into them, and you have to act like you don't care, even though you were just crying again for the 15th zillion time about how much you miss them. But then you run into them at Walmart or something, and you have to act like you don't care that you ran into them and you can't talk to them. You know, I used to just burst into tears when that would happen. It was a very weird sensation, you know, to miss somebody that much, and then you run into them and you freak out so bad you burst into tears. But now I can play it off like I don't care that they're there. But it's a fucking lie. It is a fucking front. All the way a fucking front. But I have to. And then, you know, I can hold it in and then cry when I get to my car or cry when I get home. And for months and months and months, I thought this was just a regular friendship breakup. But I had also never experienced anything like that before.
Can I have a snack?
Yeah, you can have a snack. I had never, because even that was baffling to me, because I've never mourned the loss of a friendship ending. I've had lots of people walk out of my life. I'm the poster child for abandonment. I have had lots of people walk out of my life. I've had friendships abruptly end. I have had, I have seen lots of different endings to friendships and relationships, obviously. But this is about a friendship. And so I was just like, this is weird. I don't normally get sad when a friendship ends. I don't normally, like, I'm usually the person that is like, fuck them. And I give them I like to believe that I'm like the ice queen, and I give them the silent treatment for like 3 or 4 years. That's like my cooling off period. And then like I will usually have people like reach out to me during that time, and I continue to just still be pissed off, and so I still won't speak to them. And then after 3 or 4 years where I feel like enough time has gone by and they reach out or whatever, then I'll make up with them. I'm not usually someone that like is like, oh my god, so me and so aren't friends. No, like I've never been that one. It's usually been the other person that's been crying and upset because I'm not their friend anymore. And then they try to like come back into my orbit over and over again. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or act conceited, but that's just my experience, because I can be very ice cold when I'm hurt. And I like to believe that I can give people the silent treatment until they die, and I mean, I think I've evolved over the years. I'm not quite that low vibrational anymore. I've been able to forgive and have a conversation with people that have, crossed me or, hurt me in very unexpected ways. And I've been able to have an adult conversation and forgive them. And I'm not going to forget. I'm going to pay attention to how you move now and probably distance myself. But I'm not that person, I feel like, anymore, where I'm like, well, fuck you. Like, you're going to get the silent treatment from me until you die. Like, I don't feel like I'm that way. Like, I have a couple, well, not a couple. I guess I have like one friend who I'm not currently, talking to. And I don't feel like it's the end for her and I, but when we decided to part ways, I had no feelings about it. And I had parted ways with her around the same time that I had unexpectedly parted ways from my friend that I'm grieving. And this friend I have been friends with since high school, and her and I decided to go our separate ways, and I felt nothing. you know, and then meanwhile, this person who hadn't quite been in my life that long, I'm still grieving their absence 2 years later. And they were only in my life for less than a year. But but for me and my other friend that have been friends since high school, I don't think our book is closed. I don't think that, you know, I don't have any ill feelings towards her. I love her. I still care about her. If I ran into her tomorrow in the store, I'd probably just walk up and give her a hug and then walk off. I don't know. It depends on my mood. But like, if she wanted to reach out, I wouldn't be like my past self and be like, nope, we're not through the 3 year, you know, cooling off period yet. You know, like you know, like I wish her well. If we never talk again, that's fine. If we talk, that's fine. This person, not fine. It's so stupid, but not fine. But for months, I thought that I was having a really hard time grieving and getting over my friendship with this person. And at some time later, I came to learn that the reason why I'm not allowed to move on, and I guess they're not allowed to move on, is because there is a soul tie, there is a spiritual connection between the two of us. So it doesn't matter how hard I try to let go or how hard I try to move on. I can do, you know, detachment meditations and cutting energetic bonds meditations and energetic cords, and it doesn't matter, because the kind of cord that links us, you can never sever it. I can cut energy that doesn't belong to me, but that's about it. I was not a spiritual person at all before this person came into my life, and that's kind of part of the journey, is once you learn that you're on it, you start to naturally gravitate towards spirituality. You start to go inward and start working on healing your wounds, your inner child wounds. Like they kind of push you to do that. You kind of push each other to do it. And that usually happens after you separate. I'm not going to go deep into it. There's Google. But this particular bond is called twin flame or twin soul. And you connect with this person very strongly and they feel like home. Like essentially they are you, you are them. I met my soul in another vessel, and it turned my life completely upside down. And that's the point. You gravitate towards each other in every lifetime. You have the soul recognition of remembering each other from your past lives, and you have your bond for a few months or whatever, and then the energy is so intense between you that you repel each other, and then there is a runner and a chaser in the dynamic. So he's not currently speaking to me. He has me blocked on everything. There was no argument, there was no fight ever. He just kind of disappeared from my life one day. And that's just kind of what the journey entails, is that one person just unexpectedly walks away and the other person chases them because they don't know what the fuck just happened. And they're like, my favorite person just walked out of my life. Like, I just met myself in another body and then they left. And you don't know how to reconcile with it. And then you go through what's called soul shock. And for me, it's been a grieving process, a very deeply painful grieving process. But it's been beneficial because that's what you do for your twin, is by basically pushing them away. Well, not pushing them away, but by going silent, it forces them to stop reaching out and to stop chasing you, and it forces them to go inward and focus on themselves, because you were never supposed to focus on your twin. That wasn't the point of the journey. It's to focus on yourself. It's essentially, the twin soul journey is essentially a healing journey. You're supposed to be raising the frequency of the planet, and you're supposed to be going inward and healing yourself, healing your wounds, healing your inner child wounds, healing your generational wounds, all down. Like, you're just chosen to heal the wounds of your entire lineage. I can't speak for other people's journeys because each journey is individual. Some is easier than others, or some separation isn't as long as others. Everybody, it's different. I do have a couple friends in my real actual life who have also met theirs, and so they're usually the only people that I talk to about it, if I do talk about it, because they're the only ones that would understand and get it. Because if you haven't met yourself in another body, if you haven't met your soul in another vessel in this lifetime, this is going to go over your head and you're not going to get it. People mislabel it, they misunderstand it. If it hasn't happened to you, then you're not going to understand it. You're not going to understand it. And there are people that it hasn't happened to, but they're spiritual, so they understand, and they've heard of it, or they're familiar with it, or they've researched it. But really, I just keep it to myself. I don't really talk to anyone about it. Other than, my other friends that have met theirs and have gone through all the similar or same things that I have. Or, of course, there are thousands of twin flame, twin soul forums you can get on. And then I have my friend in Australia who I connected with, who is on her journey is very similar to mine. But I was not a spiritual person before this at all. I didn't know what chakras were. I didn't know what angel numbers were. I didn't know what any of that shit was. But you naturally gravitate to spirituality, as well as having your own spiritual awakening. And, for me, I was then being visited by different stages of my inner child. And they were coming to me crying and asking me all these questions. Like, why did our dad do this? Why did he say this? Why did he treat us that way? Why weren't we worthy of love? And I had to sit with all the different stages of my inner child and cry with them and hold them and reaffirm that they mattered and that they're loved. And it's been an intense, accelerated healing journey for me for the past 2 years. And I thank this person for this journey. But at the end of the day, the fact still remains. Remove the soul tie, remove the spiritual tie to this person out of it, because for several months I didn't even know what that was, what this was. I was just missing the ever-living shit out of my best friend. At the end of the day, and I say this to my therapist all the time, at the end of the day, remove the soul tie, remove the spiritual tie to this person. The fact still remains is that I just miss my fucking friend. I just miss my friend. And I would give anything to have a conversation with him and know that he's doing okay. And then he doesn't have to talk to me ever again if he doesn't want to. But weird spiritual shit started happening when he gravitated into my life that I didn't understand and I couldn't process because I didn't know shit about spirituality. And one thing that I picked up on very early on is that he could feel my emotions and he could feel my energy and the shifts in my energy. And he didn't even have to be around me. He could be somewhere else and just know there was something wrong with me and would call me. Or I would just walk by him and then he would text me and be like, "What's the matter?" And it blew. I didn't understand it for a long time. I'm like, how the hell does he know when I'm sad or something? And he's not even around me. And then as some time went on later, I was also being able to pick up on his energy and his shifts. And I didn't even have to be around him either. And I could just be like, "Your energy is so loud. What is the matter?" And so that was one of the first few signs. The other one was feeling like I had known him forever. Like every multiverse, every lifetime, I never didn't know him. I've always known him. Every multiverse, every lifetime, I've never not known him. That's how it felt from day one. Like, you're me and I'm you. Like, talking to him and making eye contact with him, it was like I was looking at myself. I was talking to myself. It was the most craziest experience I'd ever had in my life, and I didn't know how to process or name it. I didn't know what was happening. But either way, like, I still just miss the ever living shit out of my friend, and I'm still deeply grieving. And it's gotten to the point where I don't like talking to my friends about it anymore, because I feel like I'm just a burden at this point. Like, you're not over this, you haven't moved on yet. You know, the only person that really still gives me space and grace to vent and release my grief of just how much I miss my friend is my awesome, amazing husband. Even though he doesn't fully understand it, he still continues to give me a safe space, because he knows at the end of the day that I just miss my friend. And my husband knows my heart. He knows that I love to love people. He knows that I love to make connections. He knows that I love to take care of people and be connected to people. And I've talked about this in past episodes, where he is very much the protector of my heart. And he tries to warn me about people, because I kind of just run out the door and want to love the world. And then, you know, I come back and tell him or introduce him to these people, and he's like, you need to be careful, or I don't really trust that person, or that person's using you, or that person's going to hurt you. And I always would just get mad at him, like, you don't know. Like, I know these people, you don't know them. And time again, he ended up being right. And he never made me feel foolish about it. He was never like, ha ha, told you. He always just opened his arms to me and let me run into them and cry time and time again, because I had put all my love and care and trust and wanting to take care of everybody. And he would try to warn me, you know, and so he just knows. And then he heals my heart, and then I run out the door again to go love more people, to go throw my heart at more people. And I think I chalk it up to the fact that I don't have an extended family, because I made that choice to go no contact for my peace of mind, for my mental health. And I wouldn't say I lost, it's their loss, not mine, but I removed myself from a large family network. A very large family network. And so that was a lot of seats to fill. And so this person, my twin, my best friend, came into my life around the time when I was trying to refill seats, because I had, even though I went no contact for my peace, for my mental health, for my kids, for myself, for my husband, not even for them, it was for myself. But I was also protecting them. I still had a giant void of all these people that I removed from my life. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have a chosen family. I'm just going to create my own chosen family. And so I started handpicking people around that time to fill all these empty seats, because I'm an Enneagram number 2. I'm a giver. That's my personality type. And I just want to give and take care of people and love. And I was trying to create a chosen extended family, because even though my husband and my girls are enough, I'm used to coming from a giant family unit. And I just wanted to replace all those people, I think, so I didn't have to feel the pain. And so I think I was also forcing this person in a spot that they never actually signed up to be in. So I don't know. And he kind of just got swept up in me trying to create a chosen family and make him a family member without even asking if he was fine with it, you know? And a lot of people were fine with it, and a lot of people did stay, and they are still in my life. And some people, they ended up just being more temporary people. But this person is not temporary. And I've tried. Because my therapist is still just has been working so hard with me, because I've wanted nothing more these past 2 years than to move on. And because I met myself in another body, and then that person left, and it was like they took me with them. So I essentially lost myself, and I lost my spark, and I've been fighting for the past 2 years to get it back. And I've tried everything to move on. Everything. Because, like I said, I've had friendships end. I've had people abruptly walk out of my life. I'm the poster child for abandonment. I know how to say bye to people. I know how to slam doors. And I tried. And it was like the more I tried, to me, it felt like the universe was punishing me. Like, no. You don't get to forget this person. This is a spiritual connection, and you can never sever it. You can never forget it. And so the kind of things that would happen and still happen to this day is synchronizations will constantly bombard my life. Things that are in common with me and this person. Places, things we've talked about, places we went, just something in common that is in relation to the two of us. I will see his name everywhere. I will hear it everywhere. I will see it everywhere. Significant numbers, significant angel numbers that are in relation to our connection, I'll see them everywhere, whether it's his birthday or 11/11 or 111. It'll show up everywhere. And again, these were things that I wasn't aware of. I didn't know what angel numbers were or any of this stuff. But as I started to try my hardest to forget, and then it felt like the universe kept knocking me down, I was Googling, trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Why am I, still grieving this person? Why can't I move on? And the answer just revealed itself to me one day. And I was like, okay, this is what I've been going. This is exactly what I've been going through. Other ways the universe will keep me from moving on is they'll show up in all my dreams. They don't even have to be the main focus of the dream, but they will be in the background of every single dream. I could be having a dream that I'm being chased by monsters, and they're hanging out in the background. I could have a nice, pleasant dream about mermaids or something, and they're hanging in the background of every single dream. Every single dream. They're in my head 24/7. It's like a hum that sits in the back of my mind. The most I've been able to go is maybe 12 hours without them not being at the forefront of my thoughts, because I'm busy at work or something. I can't go 24 hours without a break. It literally feels like they are haunting me. That's what it feels like. And I can't escape them. And the more that I try, the more I'm bombarded with reminders of them everywhere. Or I run into people that we both used to be friends with, or somebody he introduced me to, or something, and yeah. And it just makes it just, yeah. So then I'm just stuck in this perpetual state of grief. Not to mention that I can still feel their energy and still feel their mood shifts after 2 years. So I can feel his sadness, his pain, his anger. I can feel all of that. And so when that hits my energetic field, it's awful. I can't explain to you what it feels like to be able to feel emotions that don't belong to you, to feel energy that doesn't belong to you. And I wouldn't have believed it myself if I wasn't able to feel it when we were still in each other's everyday life. It's exhausting, especially if you're feeling really good and then all of a sudden their sad energy hits your field, and you're doing everything you can to fight it off and continue to have a good day. but it can feel like you're drowning in energy that doesn't belong to you. So, yeah, I have tried everything. I don't even want closure anymore. I've accepted that that'll never happen. I've accepted. I've already tried. So, I don't know. But most days, it's simply that. I am the most sad on most days because I just simply miss my friend. That's it. So, and then it doesn't help when I'm affected by Mercury retrogrades or Saturn retrogrades, all things that I didn't know before, and then those make it that much worse. But yeah, so, but like I said, there are benefits to meeting your soul twin, because it forces you to heal, and it forces you to raise your own vibrations and focus on yourself and work on yourself and heal your own wounds and all that stuff, because you're essentially a mirror for each other. You're essentially a mirror, and that's why you start to repel one another, and you just run away from the other one, because you're holding up a mirror and showing them all their wounds and stuff that they need to heal. And if they're not ready to heal, that shit scares the living fuck out of them and triggers the fuck out of them, so they run. And then the other twin doesn't know why their twin is suddenly running, and so then they chase them, which is then makes the twin run even farther. And so the point of the journey is to go inward and focus on yourself and heal yourself and heal your own wounds, and then your twin will mirror that healing. So yeah. But I explained more than I even wanted to, because this is a very, very sore topic for me. And like I said, if you're not spiritual, or this has never happened to you, if you have not met your soul twin in this lifetime, this is going to go over your head and you're not going to understand it. So I keep this very close to the chest. I don't like talking about it, but some days are just harder than others. And I'm trying to do this thing called healing out loud, because suffering in silence for the last 2 years had me near pretty much put a gun to my head. So, yeah, I said, you know what, let's give healing out loud a try. So either what I have to say will resonate, or it won't, or it'll go over your head, or you won't understand it at all, mislabel it, whatever. I don't care. I know what journey I'm on. So I don't need validation from anybody, you know. This journey does make you feel like you're losing your fucking mind. It does. But at some point you do start to accept it. But there are still days where you do still feel like you're losing your fucking mind. That's a common thing in this kind of journey as well. And spiritual awakenings will do that to you also. Make you feel like you're losing your fucking mind. So, but this is just one of my harder days where I'm just grieving very heavy, and I just miss him very much. And it sucked having to walk by him in Walmart last week and act like it wasn't killing me. So, and when I have those kind of interactions, I'm usually very fucked up for the next 3 days and just do nothing but cry. And then I can feel his sad emotions as well. And then I'm also crying for him. So that's another thing that I have learned, that I am the conduit between our two energies. He releases and I release, and then I have to release for the both of us. Or he internalizes his pain, transfers it to me, and then I release it for both of us. So that's fun. So that's why I cry all the fucking time when I'm not actually a crier. But because I'm releasing for the both of us, I cry all the fucking time. All the fucking time. Pretty much every day. Pretty much every day. So, but, yeah, I don't know. But, I don't know. I just miss my friend. Maybe one day we'll have a conversation. Maybe we won't, but fact remains, one of my most favorite people turned into one of my most biggest life-changing, turning my motherfucking life upside down lessons. So important but painful. Because healing, especially when you're being dragged by your hair to heal at an accelerated rate, is very fucking painful. I was already trying to heal, but I was going at my pace. And then he gravitated towards me, and the universe was like, nah, you're going to heal really super fucking fast. Because this is necessary for your mission on this planet. Is you're going to heal your shit really fucking fast so you can get to whatever you're supposed to be doing on this planet. Which I'm not quite sure. You're supposed to raise the vibration of the planet with your twin. But that only comes after they've also done their healing. So, and some twins don't even reach that point in that lifetime. They may have to wait the next lifetime. So, but either way, they aren't the focus. Yourself is the focus, and reaching inner union with your highest self and healing and raising your frequency and becoming more aligned with your purpose and the universe. And then, you know, things in the news and all that stuff becomes very just, you're unplugged from the matrix, and you know that all this stuff is temporary, and all the things that people are arguing and screaming about and yelling about and being divisive about, it's all temporary. It's all a simulation. And you just learn to relinquish control and not give a shit about all the stuff that people are whining about. Not that those things aren't important, but you are just not putting all your energy into that stuff anymore. You're being having more discernment about where your energy is going. And it's not going to go to arguing with fucking other people on the internet, you know, and you're connecting with the earth and the planet. Like, I used to be a person where if there was a spider, I would kill it. Like, gross. I don't do that anymore. I cry if I accidentally kill a spider now. All living things matter very much to me. I don't care how small or disgusting looking that they may appear. To me, everything has a purpose. Everything is here for a reason. And who are we to kill another living thing? I don't care how small it is. Even if a bee gets near me, I don't take it personally anymore. I'm just like, yep. How you doing? Everything is different. Everything is different. But it's still all fucking painful. And like I said, soul tie, spiritual tie, remove it. And I still dismiss my friend immensely. But anyways, moving on. I am proud of myself for sharing this much with a bunch of people that probably don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But this is my podcast, so, you know, whatever. The people closest to me, the people who understand me the most, they know what I'm going through, and they understand, and they don't mislabel it, and, you know, they show up for me in the ways that I need. But most of the time, I don't even like talking about it with anybody. This is a very, very sore, painful topic. And I don't like having to over-explain myself because people don't understand. When I know that there's a whole giant collective of people that do, because they're going through the exact same thing. But I'm trying to heal out loud. I'm trying to be more transparent with expressing my pain, because I know it'll resonate with somebody, and somebody will get it. Somebody will understand. Somebody will need to hear it. So, I mean, even if it just relates to you in the fact that you have also gone through a friendship loss and you're grieving somebody that was very close to you, then it can resonate on that front, you know. But I essentially met myself, and then I lost myself. So I've been grieving that loss. So, I have my good days and I have my bad days. But this is the most pain and the most sad and the most I've cried in my entire life these past 2 years. And I've never experienced grief like this in my entire life. And I've lost my mom. I've lost my best friend, Kobe. I have friends where I don't even know where they are. I'm not even sure if they're still alive to this day because they're so lost to the world. And I basically have had to grieve them, even though I'm not sure if they're still alive or not. But to death, I've lost my mom, I've lost my best friend Kobe, I lost my friend Kendra, I've lost my grandparents. So I know what that kind of grief feels like. And this is so much more deeper and more painful. But anyways, moving on. What I wanted to talk about in this episode, I guess. I mean, I was gonna maybe do two topics in one, but I kind of already covered one. Well, not really. One was let go or get dragged. It's a mantra that I say to myself every day: let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Not working, not working so well, but that's my fault because this type of connection, it won't let you let go, so, but you do have to get to a place of acceptance for what it is. But anyways, you know what? I don't even want to talk about letting go or getting dragged because I am unable to. So maybe in another episode, because there are some things that are best to let go of. Like I let go of the need for closure with my friendship because I knew that he was never going to give me that. So I let go of that because I didn't want to continue to be dragged for wanting closure. But whatever. I don't know. We'll go in depth in another episode on letting go and or get dragged, because there's lots of things that it could be: letting go of a job, letting go of a friendship, letting go of a relationship, letting go of a loss of a family member. I wouldn't say that, but I don't know, like letting go of a dream or aspiration or something. There's lots of things that people grieve and are having a hard time letting go of, and if you don't let go of it, it's just going to drag you, which essentially, I guess, is how I feel. But I've tried everything to let go, and the universe won't let me. So it's a little different. It literally feels like this person is haunting me. That's the best way I know how to describe it. Is it feels like they're haunting me. I feel them everywhere, but they're nowhere. So their doppelgangers are everywhere. But as much as I try to forget, as hard as I try, I'm not allowed to. But anyways, the other topic, since we'll do something on let go, get dragged later. I'm not in like the right emotional and mental headspace to even do that right now. Was I was thinking about spouses and how we need to make it what's the word, what am I trying to say, be comfortable with make it a thing that it's just a natural, organic, that it's okay. Make it okay for spouses to heal at different rates. And I can speak from experience about this because when I started, way before my twin navigated towards me in this lifetime, way before that, I had started on my healing journey at my own pace. And I started doing things like, listening to mindful podcasts like Jay Shetty's On Purpose podcast. And I started reading types of books on like healing and stuff like that. And I was trying to shift, into mindfulness. And I mean, this was like around the time I went no contact with my whole family. So I was really, really about healing like wounds and stuff like that around that time. And that's probably why my twin had navigated into my life when he did, because I was starting to heal and I was already starting to raise my vibration, which then made it possible for him to come forward, even though I knew he was always going to come into my life. I don't know how I knew, but I just knew. Yeah, it's hard to explain. But ever since I was in 6th grade, that's the earliest I can remember, every Wednesday, I don't know why, but every Wednesday I would wake up with this deep ache in my chest and I would just feel so, so sad. And it was like, I didn't know it at the time, but it felt like my soul was hurting. And it felt like I was missing and longing somebody but I didn't know who that pain belonged to. And I didn't know why it happened every fucking Wednesday either. It was from 6th grade on, every fucking Wednesday. And I got to the point where I would start to mentally prepare, because I knew when I woke up Wednesday morning, I was going to feel this deep ache from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. And I remember I used to go down the list of the people in my life trying to figure out who this pain was attached to. Who was I missing? And it didn't fit anybody. Even after my mom passed away. And I had told her about this pain that I would experience weekly, and how Wednesdays were just dubbed my bad days because of this. And she had told me, shift my mindset, try to think of Wednesdays as a wonderful day. Get up in the morning and say Wednesdays are going to be wonderful. And then maybe a year or so later, my mom ended up dying on a Wednesday. So that was weird. And then I had also had a voice telling me the month before she had passed away that she was going to die. And then I had a nightmare, a horrible nightmare around the time that she was dying in the fire. And I will never forget this dream ever, 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 ever. But anyways, and I started to kind of have like premonitions around this time too. But learning things before they happen scared the shit out of me. So I suppressed it. I didn't want to know. So anyways, every Wednesday, longing, missing, somebody feeling, but don't know who that feeling is attached to. After my mom died, I thought maybe this feeling is attached to my mother. It was not. Cue my twin entering my life. And it took me a couple weeks, couple months to realize it. But when I did, it was like a very weird moment for me. But a few months after they had entered my life, it hit me one day that I was no longer having that painful, longing, missing Wednesday feeling, like I'm missing somebody. It went away the moment they walked into my life. And so that's what I mean when I say that I always knew they were going to gravitate towards me, but I didn't know that they were going to. I didn't know what it meant. And so I was no longer experiencing that missing, longing, somebody, deep ache feeling. And then when he walked out of my life abruptly, no argument, no fight, no disagreement. Last time I saw him, we were cool, and he's, we hung out, chopped it up for a little bit. I said, is everything okay? Because you've been acting a little weird. And he said, no, everything's fine. I've just been busy. Of course we're still friends. Everything seemed fine. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. And then that's when the deep, familiar ache, missing, pain, longing feeling returned that I had known since I was in 6th grade. Except the difference was that pain is now every single day. Every single day. And it's been every single day for the past 2 years. So that was another weird spiritual thing when I realized. But I think around the time he gravitated into my life, I was starting to heal, so I was raising my frequency. But anyways, so I was starting to heal and trying to introduce Tiger to all this stuff, and he was just not interested. Like, Tiger, there's a lot of healing that he needs to do. He has a lot of childhood trauma, and he talked about some of it in the last episode. His dad committed suicide when he was 6. There was a lot of abuse growing up, and you can't force people to heal when they're not ready. I mean, unless you're pulled by your hair by the universe to go on a spiritual journey and heal yourself quickly. But if you're just with a person and you're like, okay, I'm healing, now you need to heal. That's not how it works. And it created a lot of conflict in me and Tiger's marriage, because I was raising my vibrations. I was raising my frequency. I was becoming more aligned with my purpose. And I was reading all these like mindfulness healing books and just being trying to be softer, trying to be kinder, more understanding, more empathetic than I already was. And just certain things that I entertained before, I no longer entertained. People that I used to hang around and resonate with, they no longer resonated with me. I was just above so much. Like mindless conversation or people discussing other people, it was very low vibrational to me, and I just couldn't be around it. It irritated my energy. Like it just didn't vibe with my energy at all. And so I shifted and changed the environments I was in and the people I was around and the conversations I engaged in. I didn't care about politics and arguing with people online, and just a lot changed for me mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Just there was just a huge shift. And so of course there were certain things that my husband was doing that suddenly didn't really annoy me before, but was highly irritating me now. Like, Tiger has a tendency, he's worked on it a lot. He's worked on it a lot. But this created a lot of conflict in our marriage, is because my husband reminds me of a 13-year-old girl. And I've told him that, because I don't entertain or surround myself around people that discuss other people or talk shit about other people. I don't like that. It's very low vibrational. It doesn't sit right in my spirit. So I don't like being around people like that. And so my husband had a horrible tendency of talking shit about everybody. Anybody that passed his way, the person didn't even have to interact with him, and he would have something negative to say about their truck, their shoes, how they looked, how they walked, what they were doing. It was like a masculinity contest. He had to constantly judge other men out in the world on the masculinity scale, and it would drive me insane. And I would constantly just be like, will you leave people alone? Will you leave people? This is like, why do you like you're worse than a pack of teenage girls. Like, why do you have to say something mean and cruel or negative about somebody? And so it started to get to the point where I didn't even want to be around him, because I'm like, I avoid this type of energy in real life, out in the real world. So why would I want to entertain it with the person I'm married to? Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't surround myself with people like this. And so it created a lot of conflict. And it got to the point where Tiger started to understand, if he was going to act in this low vibrational space, I wasn't going to be around him. I wasn't going to be around him, because I'm an empath and I absorb other people's emotions. So if somebody is really sad all the time, or just sad in general, I'm going to absorb it. If somebody is angry, I'm going to absorb it. If somebody is just being very low vibrational, I'm going to absorb it. And it's going to weaken my energy and make me very exhausted. And I don't like feeling and operating from a low vibrational place. This is why this grief has been so hard on me. And I've had moments of like, I just want to end my life, because I'm not someone that is normally sad all the time. I'm not someone that normally cries all the time. But because I am releasing the emotions for two people, I cry and I am sad all the fucking time. And it to me, it feels very low vibrational. Even though it's healing and releasing is healthy, I just don't normally operate from this place. So anyways, back to Tiger. He was starting to feel very attacked with the way that I would constantly be like, stop doing that. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to say that? Why do you have to talk shit about this person? Why do you, why? And he was starting to feel like, well, gosh, like, nothing I do is okay. And like, you're doing all this healing stuff and you're acting like you're better than me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I remember because Jay Shetty had talked about this in one of his episodes, that how it was not okay to force your spouse to rise in their healing journey where you are. It's not fair. And it's not fair to, make them feel like crap or belittle them or make them feel less than because they're not where you are on their healing journey. And so I recognized that I was doing that to Tiger, and I realized that I needed to apologize. I needed to not operate from that space. Like, okay, there are some things about Tiger that I don't like, specifically him talking shit about everybody on the planet. I don't like it. But overall, he is an amazing person. He's a great person. He's a great husband. He's a great dad. Like, focus on those things and don't hyper focus on that stuff. But he did still work on it because it ruined a lot of dates for us, and it ruined a lot of one-on-one time for us when he was so focused on projecting onto the world. And it was like, can you just be in the moment with me? Can you just enjoy our date? Why must you project on the person that just walked by? You know? And these are things that I believe he's starting to unpack in therapy, so I'm proud of him. But he's also worked on just not doing that around me, not feeling the need to open his mouth and talk shit about everybody around me and project 24/7 onto the world, because he knows that it ruins a good time that we're having, and it just makes me not want to be around him. But I am proud of him, though, because he has come a long way. And him and I, a few years ago, did start reading What Happened to You by Oprah. And I can't remember the doctor's name, but it was an amazing, profound book. And I think that was like the opening of the door for Tiger to want to maybe realize that he needed to start working on his healing journey. But you can't rush people, and you can't force people, and you can't push people to heal. You need to let them go at their own pace, because healing is extremely fucking painful. And then when you're being forced to accelerate heal, it's just as just even if, in my experience, more fucking painful. Because before, I would touch on a wound and be like, ooh, that hurts. I'm going to put that down and come back to that later. I'm going to work on a different area of my healing. And then I would either revisit that other wound later on, or I wouldn't. But then the accelerated spiritual and healing journey I was put on was like, I don't give a fuck if that hurts. You're going to feel it, you know? But and so it's important that if you do have a spouse that is starting to go on their own healing journey and work on their wounds and inner child stuff, you know, that you make sure you let them know how proud of them that you are. And, you know, not, you know, let them go at their own pace, you know, because nobody is going to be able to just go through and heal all their shit in a day or a week or a month or a year, you know. And so I had to really take a step back, and it took several conversations, took several arguments between me and Tiger for him to be like, I'm really starting to feel picked on by you. I'm really starting to feel like I can't do anything right. You think you're better than me because you're healing and I'm not. And he was validated. I heard what he was saying, but to me, on my end, and I had these conversations with a couple of my friends, because they felt like their husbands were doing the same thing. We felt like we're over here trying to fix ourselves. We're recognizing in ourselves that we're unhappy in an area in our life, and we're doing what we need to do to feel better. We're joining a gym, we're joining a book club, we're going for walks, we're hiking, we're dancing, we're reading a self-help book, we're reading, you know, a mindfulness book, we're listening to a health and mindfulness podcast. We're doing all these things, you know, to better ourselves. Meanwhile, our husbands are just staying stagnant and being like, oh, I guess I'm going to feel this way forever. I guess I'm just going to be miserable. This is just how I am. And like, we were all collectively getting frustrated with this, because that's how it felt. It felt like our husbands were just very stagnant. Like, well, this is how I am. I'm not ever going to fix it. You know, because unfortunately for men, they were raised like, shut the fuck up, don't be a pussy, don't talk about your emotions, don't cry. Like, we understand that. And that's horrible that was the kind of messaging that was beaten into boys, that they weren't allowed to feel and they weren't allowed to express. And so, I mean, as women, I guess we do need to give them more grace, because they grew up with that conditioning of you don't feel, you don't cry, you don't express. And then here we are being like, express yourself, let it out, heal. And they're like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, what is that, you know? And so it has definitely been an uphill battle with trying to get Tiger to open up. And I am so proud of him. I was proud of him in the last episode. I just, yeah, like, he's really come a long way. He's come a long way, but like I said, I've had to take a step back and learn that I can't rush his healing. I can't expect his healing to match mine. He's getting to where he needs to get to at his pace. He still has a long way to go. I still have a long way to go, you know. But I can't like belittle him or berate him and, you know, treat him as, you know, because if you do that, the person that may be taking small steps to heal, they're going to be like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm not going to heal then. Like, I'm not going to work on this then. If you're just going to make me feel like I'm constantly doing something wrong. And so, yeah, like they're kind of essentially just gonna shut down. And so the way Jay Shetty explained it was, you don't tell your spouse to heal, you show them. You show them with you working on your own healing and focusing on your own healing. And then they'll just kind of start to naturally, organically want to work on their own healing. You know, just like, you know, seeing you feeling so much better and you know, all of that. But like, you know, pushing it upon them and forcing it on them, or kind of like making them feel like, you know, like they're doing, because that's what I was doing. I was making Tiger feel like, I think he was starting to feel left behind by me, because like he's like, I'm perfectly fine where I'm at. I'm proud of you for being where you're at and where you're healing, but I'm not interested in being where you're at. And you know, you're constantly telling me where I'm fucking up. And you know, it really started to get him down. Because, and then like I said, I had to take a step back. I had to kind of rewatch or re-listen to that Jay Shetty episode and realize, okay, I'm doing exactly what Jay Shetty told me not to do to my spouse. And so, yeah, I had to give him a zillion apologies. I had to apologize to him multiple times and just be like, I'm sorry. Like, I recognize that I was doing that. The only thing that I will say that I stayed on him about was going to therapy. That was it, because he absolutely needed that. He absolutely needed therapy. But as far as like everything else, I just started to try to calmly be like, okay, I don't like when you project on the whole world. So can you not do that when we're together? Can you not do that on our dates? I don't like hearing you say awful things about other people. And, you know, we have daughters and they don't need to hear that either. Like, I'm raising my girls to be kind, loving, accepting, you know, caring, open individuals. My kids aren't going to be walking out the door saying mean things about other kids. Like, we're not doing that. Like, that's not what I'm raising. And so he heard me when I said that. It resonated. And so he's come a long way and he's worked on it, you know. It's just a product of how he was raised, unfortunately, to just project on everybody, but he recognizes it and he's working on it, and he is starting to identify why he does it to begin with, because there's a reason behind it. It's not him just actually trying to be mean, you know, but, that's more for his story to tell. But, you know, all we can really do is be a safe space for our spouse and give them grace and give them the room and the time and the patience that they require, and you know, allow them to heal on their own timeline. Allow them to heal when they are ready. When they are ready to, and when they want to, and at their own pace. So, I mean, like, we have to normalize that, you know, and I had to learn that lesson. So that's why I'm discussing it, because this is coming from my actual experience, because I don't want to say being a bully, but I was kind of, I'm over here trying to be all love and light, but at the same time was being an ass to my husband, because I was frustrated that he wasn't over here being all love and light with me. He wasn't at the level of my love and light. And, you know, my philosophy and the things that I thought of, or how I viewed life, or, you know, that there were a lot of things that were no longer aligning with him like they used to. And so that created conflict because he was like, what is going on? Like, you used to agree with me on this and now you don't. And, you know, but that was just my shift in consciousness. And that was my shift in my own healing, that there were just certain things that just didn't resonate with me anymore. And he just had to learn to accept it and respect it. Just like I have to continue to accept and respect his opinions and the way he thinks or whatever, even if it doesn't align with me anymore. But the moral of the story, I guess, is just meeting in the middle with your spouse. Meeting in the middle with your spouse and giving them the grace and the space to show up how they're going to show up. And listening and, you know, being there for them. But my husband just called me and I just clicked ignore because I was trying to finish my thought. So he's going to start getting worried and think that I'm mad at him or something. So I need to call him back and let him know I'm not mad at him and that I love him. And I didn't mean to hang up on him. So thank you for letting me open up a little bit about a very, very difficult topic. And why I've been grieving and why I am the saddest I've been in my entire life, and be vulnerable about that. I don't know if I'll want to talk about it more or open up about it more because, like I said, it's a very private subject and a painful subject to me. So, yeah, but I appreciate you guys, tuning in and allowing me to be vulnerable about my grief journey and healing and spirituality and all that stuff. And I hope that this episode resonated, and I love you guys. And just remember, be fucking kind. We don't know what anybody is going through. So just be kind and show up for other people the best way that you can. And I will see you guys in the next one. And this has been another episode of Play With Your Dick, Not Me. Bye.